Well, welcome back to Rough Restos for the 5th episode on the Capri M113 conversion. Now this is the episode I've been particularly waiting for. Not that this is my strong point, but this is going to be a big stepping stone, I'm hoping anyway. That's what I've got planned. We're currently about 2:30 on a Sunday evening, afternoon. So yeah, I wanted to start it yesterday morning, but I had to do stuff in the Range Rover instead, and yeah. Now we're here anyway, so. Haven't made any progress this weekend yet, but we're going to do some cutting, some welding, and just a bit of hot metal gluing really, and we're going to see if we can get that engine and gearbox mounted in there on its own mounts. That's the plan anyway. So, let's crack on, because we're running out of time. So, as I might have previously mentioned, what we've got is some Land Rover bobbin engine mounts. Now I'm going to mount them onto the standard Pinto bits on the crossmember, and then what we've got to do is we're going to use the factory engine mounts here for the M113 and this 6mm plate and bar to fabricate two mounts that will hold the engine in. And then we need to repurpose this thing I kind of just bodged together years ago to make a new gearbox mount. So I'm ideally going to use this to mount it to the floor panel of Capri. I've got bushes in either end, which are actually Capri poly bushes of some kind. I forgot what they are again now, but that way we've got poly bushes, various bits of steel, and I've got loads more over there, but we'll see what we need. Now I think and a new addition, we've got this now. So I went and bought that the other week, went down 160 mile round trip for it. Could have went and bought a new one, but why would I want a new one when I could buy a 1970s beast? So this thing here is going to probably outlast me again as well. Built proper. I think I paid about half the price for this one as a cheap new one, and a proper new one is up to about £1,000 really. So as we've got all this 6mm steel to drill, thought I need a proper tool to do it. No one messing around with a hand drill, just get a proper drill. Now this thing does need a bit more maintenance. I put a new belt on it, tied up a load of bits and bobs, but yeah, it can do a bit more work. So we've got our M113 here. I guess the first thing I need to do in a minute is I need to try and make sure it's square in the bay. If not, get the engine sat where I want it sat. We've already sort of proved the gearbox now fits where the engine is. So if I get the engine to its sort of proper resting point, we can then fabricate the mounts for that, and then work on a way to fabricate the gearbox mounts. You guys may have remember I've spoke a few times now about getting another gearbox, or the gearbox I originally wanted before I bought this one. I've now almost managed to get it. It's going to require probably a trip to Southampton soon, but I've managed to source the 3.2 V6 gearbox with a flywheel, clutch and a shifter, which is what I desperately need. So I might be doing that next weekend or the weekend after, I don't know yet. But if I can get, I'm assuming the mounts for the gearboxes, I'm hoping they're the same, and they're the same shape and size. If not, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But for now, this gearbox will be mated to this engine, mounted in this shell. I've never done this before. Every engine I've actually dropped into any of my cars, which has been non-standard, have always managed to fit using factory mounts. So this is going to be a first for me, making engine mounts. What's the worst that could happen, eh? I'm only an electrician, right? It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So let's get cracking. Well, I've kind of aligned the engine-ish, from what I can do anyway. So now it should be fitting fairly central, fairly level, which is the idea. But before I do a final position on the engine, and obviously I can't make up the engine mounts yet until I've sorted this out. So these wooden spacers now need to go and need to be replaced with some proper spacers made out of some box section there. So that's going to be step one in a minute. We'll replace that, and then I'll know exactly how much clearance I've got between the cross-member engine, whether I can lower it down anymore, and once we've got a final position for the engine, final position for the cross-member, we can then fabricate our mounts, which I'm still humming and ahhing as to how I'm going to do, because there's a few different options. Just haven't decided on any yet which I like the idea of, because at the minute the engine mount sits slightly behind the mounting position on the Mercedes, but the mounts are going to be agricultural no matter what. They're not going to be some professional nice production things, but obviously I want them to be as strong as possible and as practical as possible. But let's solve this issue first. nothing too fancy, but we just got some swarf inside it by the looks of it. Simple little box section spaces. I think these are 25 by 50, I guess, boxing, which then sit nicely up here into the crossmember there, and then I'll go up against the chassis rail. So it needs a nice tidy up, but that's the main thing for now is to, I will be painting these up, making them all nice and whatnot. Probably saving a crossmember and everything else, but for now I'm not interested in making things pretty. I want them to be working, and then when they work I can make them pretty. So I think I might bolt back up with these two a minute, see how it looks, and then go from there. So what I've done here is I've traced out the engine mounts onto this 6mm plate. I'm now going to attack it with the plasma because it should be quicker than a grinder, hopefully. See how rough my cutting is. I haven't used this in quite a while. Okay, so I fabbed up some plates. Obviously nothing, it looks like it would come out of an engineering workshop. So it would come out of an agricultural workshop, so perfect. But we got 2 engine plates now, either side here. Now, I've been scratching my brain. So much so I've now, got a saw head. And I'm trying to work out what we can do with this engine mount, because that's quite far back. This is quite far forward. Starter motor's there. And obviously we've got to be careful, because we don't want too many stresses or on these mounts. So we need them to be as equally loaded as possible whilst being practical. Now, if I hadn't lost my mount, I've got no idea where it's gone. It's over here, isn't it? So, I've been thinking, this back there just isn't going to work. Oh, poor torch. Back there isn't going to work because of the starter motor and everything else. And there's no way I can make a mount that comes off this to that and retain good access to these bolts. Well, there probably is, but it's a lot of effort. And I want simpler than that. So, I want to move this mount more to the centre of this plate, or closer to, which means obviously I need to move this across. So I think what I'm going to do is, rather than cut off this whole Pinto mount, I'm going to extend it. So I'm going to come out to about here, I think, with the engine mount. I'm going to use 10mm thick plate off of a Pinto one to here. I'm going to bolt and weld it, and possibly add in some gussets, so that this mount here sits here. So then if that's sitting there, obviously from there, it's fairly easy to fabricate a U-shaped bit that comes across. I'll try and draw it out a minute, I've got nothing to draw on. Perfect. So if we got the engine mount sitting, so we've got the bobbin mount here. This then has a bit of 10mm plate that goes across to the Pinto mount. And then here we got obviously the bobbin, the engine sits, say there. So what we need now is a bit of plate. It comes down and cross back to that mount, and then what we can do, so that'll hold the bobbin, and then we can put gussets from here back to the plate either side. That's my current thinking. So I've got this 6mm by I think a 60 flat bar, because annoyingly it was a bit too thin to be any use to make the engine plates for the mounts, which is annoying because I had this brand new steel versus that, well, it's new but it's old. So I might chop these off a second, see if I can bend it. I'm not sure. It's going to be pretty thick to bend. Drill some holes in it and try and get at least part of it made up, but obviously I can't finish this now until I get the 10mm plate to come across from me Pinto cross member to the bobbin mount. But I can make a start at least anyway. Another week's passed, for a good reason. So what I've got here is that missing part of the puzzle. I got some 10mm by, I think it's 75 flat bar. So that's going to be used to extend the engine mount out, probably with some gussets. But not only that, yesterday morning left at 5 AM and shot up to Southampton, which is about a 170-mile trip from here, and I picked up these. Now, some of you may remember in the previous episodes I've talked about a gearbox and such I found, which I wanted to buy but was proving hard to buy. I spent 2 months trying to buy this off the guy, and I finally got it. So we got here the V6 manual gearbox out of the CLK 320. So this is the 3.2 litre one, not the 2.4 as I had before. I'm hoping it's the same sort of size, but it's rated to higher torque, so that's the one I wanted. Not only that, I've got a shifter with this one, which is what I really needed, and they're quite hard to find, and unless you know what shifter goes with what gearbox and all that stuff, really hard to work out what one to buy online. Because this has got a rod shifter and a cable shifter, because the way it works in the back of the unit here. So we've got an actual gearbox now and a shifter, which is ideal. And not only that, we've got a flywheel and a clutch. Now obviously I wouldn't normally reuse a used clutch, but this clutch, it's a genuine Mercedes LUK one in fantastic condition. So is the flywheel and the friction plate. So whether this is a low mileage car or whether it's had a replacement genuine clutch put in it, I don't know. I've just noticed that though, it is a dual mass flywheel, isn't it, looking at that? Oh yeah, and judging by the size of it. I think so anyway. I'll check it out in a minute, don't know. But if this, once it's all working that, I will obviously buy an uprated clutch and probably a new pilot bearing. But for now, that's more than adequate to try out. So I'm over the moon. And not only that, I got it at an absolute bargain price. 250 quid. It just took 2 months to better purchase it. So that's really good. That's going to help us massively. But before we work out where that shift is going to sit in there, I know it's going to be too long anyway, because, yeah, it's probably going to be too long. I think we should get this engine mounted first. Joys. Let's crack on. Didn't want to bore you guys with the progress, and just mostly cutting, grinding and all that stuff. But we now got a 10mm plate, comes across, and it's just currently bolted to a cross member, which then comes across to our engine mount, and then we got a bit of 6mm plate bent and tack welded onto our 6mm plates on the engine itself. So that's now mocked up, both sides. I will also need to put a gusset in between this 10mm plate and the cross member as well, and obviously you've got to make gussets now from here to here. So that's the next step, but positions mocked, tacked in place. So I think now take this off, clean back with metal on the cross member. Not really sure what order to do it in yet, because this needs to be welded to a cross member, but for that I want to really take the cross member out. So I might make the gussets now and tack them onto this mount, and then this plate is ready to be welded to the cross member. Because I don't want to weld it yet really until the engine's mounted and I'm definitely happy with it. So the other option is this gusset could go to a plate which also bolts onto the cross member, so it's all just not welded. That actually might be a better idea. Yeah, that might work better. If I was to have a plate, the gusset come across here, onto another plate, which bolts to the cross member, that would give me flexibility. Can I get to it from the other side? Oh yeah, plenty of room. That would mean I wouldn't have to weld it to a cross member, and would give me a tiny amount of adjustment. Yeah, that's not a bad shout. Which does mean, if I do it that way, these adjustable holes I've made for the mounts down here aren't really needed. because I was planning on doing that because this was going to be soldered fixed to a car. Yeah. Okay, scrap that. I best make it up, and then we can remove the whole mount and weld it. Anyway, I'm cracking back on. Lots to do. There we go. So we got the 6mm gusset coming down there. That's welded to another bit of plate, which is bolted to the other side of a cross member. I think that's plenty strong enough, to be honest. I think now, really, need to get this all off, build the gussets for these two, and then weld it all up. Yay, making progress. Making progress. As you've probably seen, lots of cutting, grinding, welding, whatnot. But we now have a complete set of engine mounts. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not a fabricator, but I did promise agri-spec engine mounts. So that is what we got. Beefy, heavy, not going anywhere, I can assure you that. But just a simple set of engine mounts. Really basic, actually, to turn the light on. Might help. Really basic. I'm not a welder, and to be fair, I'm trying to weld this 6mm steel up and 10mm steel and that with 0.6 welding wire. I really keep forgetting to buy 0.8. I should buy some 0.8 because it's not 0.6 isn't. It's a bit difficult to work with. But yeah, no, they're going to be strong as houses. They are. So nice big beefy ones to bolt the engine, and they obviously go. Excuse the rough cut. That went a bit wrong with the plasma. That's meant to be the part where you drop the mount into, to give you like a elongated hole to get the engine in and out with just the studs. But I don't actually need to now. With these plates that bolt onto the cross member, I could just unbolt the plates and the whole thing will come out. So, yeah, bit rough and ready. However, it should work an absolute charm. Should be plenty strong enough. Now I would get them all painted up, fitted in the car today, but I'm knackered. These are still pretty warm, and I'll probably end up getting a mock fitted and get the gearbox done before I bother to then sandblast all the mounts and paint them, and the cross member and everything else. But so for now, not going to bother to paint. Just going to get them fitted and make sure they work first. That'd be a smart idea. But that's for the next video. This one's been long enough already. So the next video is going to be gearbox mounting and probably the prop shaft centre bearing whilst we're at it. And then the engine and gearbox should be sat in under its own power. From then on, I can start messing around with a clutch, electrics, all that. Probably back onto electrics or radiator, because they're the next important things. But that's for next weekend. So for now, I'm going to get cleaned up, have a shower, and chill for the evening. Work tomorrow. And you guys are probably bored already of me fabricating stuff, so yeah, thank you for watching. If you happen to have been enjoying the Capri content, I know there's going to be a lot more of it yet. Obviously putting a M113 into a Capri isn't just a drop-in task. I'm enjoying it, loving it, and it's not actually that hard considering so far, but still a lot of custom work to it. So, and considering no one has successfully completed it yet, I'm having to learn and work it out as I go along. So yeah, stick around for plenty more Capri content. Obviously there's the previous videos on this, there's plenty more to come, and there's all the videos previously on the Capri back when I've done all the Cosworth work to it and all that stuff. So yeah, if you feel like you're a bit bored and you want to watch more of me for some silly reason, then yeah, jump on it. And with any luck, I'll see you guys next time. I've been Jordan. Cheers.